Hello Scorpio, welcome back to my channel. I am Mariana and I will do the vibes inside for you today. Just taking out a little Palo Santo here. Smudge the area, my message for you. I have needed to pause my videos for some days to kind of deliver the message for you, I think. In tarot cards, Scorpio energy is always somehow associated with the deep emotional stuff. Something that touches us deeply, like love and loss. It's like when you get in touch with Scorpio energy, it touches a part of you that is innately you. It cannot be seen from the outside world because we wear a mask. We have our ego that protects us, right? But when Scorpio energy is present, it's very raw. And deep. And intense. It's like connecting with something so precious or pure, or that we want to hold on to it, right? We want to keep it forever. And if we lose it somehow, this is where the entire world can fall into pieces. In its essence, I believe it has to do with a very pure and very deep love for something or someone. Even for life itself. And being faced with something that potentially can change that feels like a threat. It can create a fear, it can create a tendency of wanting to fight for something or keep up a wall to protect something, maybe. Because what's in there is too precious. I can't even touch upon what that is truly. It's something very It's like life itself. It's like there's either life or not. Right? Or there's either love or not. And if there's not, there's only darkness. That's why it's precious. That's why it's so deep and so raw and so precious. And why we want to protect it. We can say it's in our heart, but actually I feel it's deeper. Or at least I would say it's deeply, deeply inside the heart. And if we consider that this preciousness was exposed to a world that was safe, always safe, always protected, peaceful, harmonious, it would be maybe a little bit easier to let ourselves be, or allow this part of us to be seen, allow this part of us to be spoken, allow this part of us to connect. So being a soul that incarnates or have been incarnating many times maybe on an earth plane like this, in a human fragile body that can be killed, that can die. For the human ego, there has been wars, there has been hate, there has been control and dominance, there's been a lot of stuff going on. So being the carrier, Scorpio, of this kind of energy, this deeply, deeply embedded, innate, precious, your energy for me is extremely connected with the dynamics that go between love and loss. Like it's like the purely unconditional love, open, receptive, giving, right? And on the other side, the loss. Like in duality, these are the extremes you work in, Scorpio, right? You work in these extremes that are so. But I want to say, it's not just love. It's not just loss. That's an extreme potential, of course, for what you hold on one side and what's the threat on the other side. Loss is here. Fear, extreme fear is here. Fear of being exploited, taken advantage of, used, and left or rejected at your most vulnerable. And open. At being at your most vulnerable, open, that is devastation. That would create total devastation and despair. Again, it comes to a point where we talk about like balancing survival. Like it's that extreme I get, like for Scorpio here. And the reason why I talk about this is because the energy that wants to come to Earth, the energy that wants to be developed with the fifth dimension, wants to come closer to the love part and away from the devastation, loss, lack part. In order to do that, something needs to happen. Something needs to happen. And you are a major carrier of this, Scorpio. I'm sorry to say, but you are. We all have Scorpio somewhere in our chart, but you hold this energy a lot. I have to say that. You have great detective skills to figure out what's around you and to figure out if it's good for you or not. I just have to say this, right? That it's, and because the love part, this pure, very pure, innate, deep, raw, this can never be sacrificed, right? This is something that can never be sacrificed. This is life. And over here we have death, right? Here we have void, we have nothingness here. It's like balancing these extreme pure light energies and the total darkness over here. That's kind of what you are. So where are you, right? What kind of, where do you feel you tip? Like, do you tip to the part where you have been wounded? Where you have been rejected, where you have been feeling you lost yourself, you lost your heart, everything broke down. Are you hurting, right? Are you hurting, Scorpio? If you're hurting, this is one of the areas where we may need to make a sacrifice. Because this other part can never, ever, ever, ever be sacrificed. So what does that mean? It means that we have to face the fears. And I'm giving you now a piece of information. You can take it if you want, or you can leave it if you want. Maybe you need to think about this for a while, right? The fear belongs to your ego and your body. The ego only exists, in my opinion, because we are in a body. The soul is in a body. In spiritual communities, we say that the soul is eternal. It never dies. A part of you never dies. So what are you afraid of, right? What are you afraid of? You are afraid that your ego will need to die. You are afraid that your body is going to die. You will have declined health. You will be trapped in a bed forever until you die, physically, humanly die. You will be trapped in a harming or hurtful or abusive relationship. You will fear for your life, we say. But the life you talk about is your human life. It's the life of existing in a human vessel, identifying with that, only that. And the ego you have created around yourself, that you identify with how you look, you identify with your achievements on earth. You have become one with your ego if you live like that. But what if you were not your ego? What if you identified with your soul? What if you identified with the fact that you never die? As a soul, you're given a human experience. You came here to have an experience. You came here to learn something that cannot be experienced in consciousness alone. The body allows us to have emotions. The body allows us to be matter, be physical, and not just pure consciousness. We say we can't see the soul, right? We can't see the soul come in the body. We can't see the soul leave. Some can, but so what is the soul? It's somehow invisible, right? It's invisible. It can be invisible to the human eye. You cannot see it necessarily. What we see is mostly ego. We see each other's ego. Presence with the body you have, the things you do, the things you say about yourself, your social media, and all that stuff. We identify as family with bloodlines. This is my family. Yeah, you are born into that family, but it may not be your star family. It may not be may not be your cosmic family, your soul family. It may not be. But you are somehow incarnating with that family to have that lesson as well, to have that experience. So, what if there's more? Scorpio, what if there's more? Right? You incarnated here and became Scorpio, sun signs. You are the carriers of some of these polarities here. For me, you are. It can make us cautious, right? It can even make us revengeful, hateful. If we got our heart broken in connections, close connections, it's difficult to trust. To trust, the fear has to go. Do you see my point? That the fear has to go to trust. The fear is related to your human body, to your ego existence, to the understanding you are here only maybe in this body once. Until you start digging, Scorpio, until you figure out this is not necessarily true. There could be more than this. Even if you believe in metaverses or parallel universes, you exist more than once. I'm not telling you to believe in that. You can read about it if you want to, figure out if it feels right to you. Or you can stay in your position, you can stay where you are, of course. You have free will. It's just, the big message is that to have a change in your life, you have to rock or shake the status quo. The status quo will not change unless you make it change, or you allow for something to change. And with change may come fear, right? Because I know what I have. Even though I may not like it, I know what I have. I don't know what is coming. Correct. You don't know what is coming. So consider, is it better to stay where you are? Or to allow for something new to happen? If you allow for something new to happen, you may need to say that out loud so your guides can hear you. They are not allowed to intervene unless you tell them to. How they intervene or how the change comes, I cannot tell you that. Maybe it will be uncomfortable because there are fears you need to release. Maybe there are things you need to clear out of the way, like conflicts, right? Maybe you are feeling that you get forced to make a very clear decision about something, a very clear choice about something. It's all about what do you believe in, and if you believe in there's no way out of this, then there will not be any way out. If you allow yourself to think maybe there is a way out, and you tell your guides, could you show me something about this? Then you're starting to figure out more. You are allowing for something more to be shown to you. I work a lot with the Scorpio energy. Actually, it's been part of my process from the get-go. I'm quite familiar with it. But now, instead of, years back, I thought that I just could find myself being trapped in depression, and so I didn't understand what it wanted from me, right? Now I understand it. It wants me to release it. It wants me. It comes into my life because I have to become aware of it. I have to become aware of how much it could determine my life, my choices. When something comes up to the surface now for me, if it is fear, I thank it, right? I'm grateful because it allows me to work with the energy now. And if you give yourself permission also to listen what the fear is about, you raise stuff from your subconscious mind into your conscious mind. You will be able to understand the deep fear, perhaps, what it was about, how it has determined your choices. Okay. This is what I feel like I had to say before I take out some cards. It's actually the main message. Change is available at any time if you choose to. But you may need to sacrifice something, a part of your ego, right? The ego always wants to protect us. That's because we live in a human body that potentially could die. It could become ill. It could be trapped in something. It could be betrayed. Right? We are always kind of conscious about our body somehow because we are in it. We cannot just fly away, right? We can get trapped in something. We can feel trapped in work, in relationships, in all kinds of obligations. Our emotions can dictate how we feel, what we want to do, our choices. Our fears can dictate our choices. Deeply subconscious fears can do that. I believe scientists have figured out that it's only around 5% of our daily choices that are made from a conscious perspective. The rest comes from subconscious emotions, directions, programs. When I heard that the first time, it actually scared me. I thought that if the world functions like that, and we all make a lot of choices every day, and most of them come from the subconscious, which can stem all the way back from childhood. We may have adult professionals that make deeply immature, childlike choices, at least in their private life, because this is where we sometimes the mask towards the outside world sometimes slips, right? That's the release. It's the time where you can rest or you can go wild or whatever you want to do, right? Upholding the personality, professional personality at work, and then when you get home, you release, perhaps, in some way. Whatever you say, whatever you do, the emotions you feel, the way we go wild sometimes, right? And typically around those that are closest to us and should actually be those that we care about the most. But that's normally not necessarily how it goes. It's the only way where we can, all of them, have a release somehow. The home, I believe, is in a 3D world like we live in, with all kinds of brokenness. The home can be a battlefield. It can be a release station. That it may feel like it's more like a battle zone at home than at work. If you live alone, the home could be a terrible place because you are now alone with yourself, right? You are alone with your ego and yourself. You are alone with your thoughts, your behaviors, your feelings. So, yeah, okay. I think you get my point. If we want something to change, we cannot expect to do the same thing. For a rebirth to happen, something needs to die. Something needs to be worked on or corrected, or maybe not corrected, but changed. Changed, right? Changed. Change needs to happen for something new to occur. If we are unhappy in our work situation, you have to quit your job and find a new one, right? A new, better one, perhaps. Then you can have new opportunities, the new place. But if you stay in the same work situation and you just gossip about the management and whatever, it's not going to change anything. Sometimes we need to make a conscious choice, choose something different for ourselves to have a new beginning of something. Even cutting the cords or connections or contacts to people, maybe we need to do that. Maybe you need to move, or you need to figure out, why is it that I feel fear in certain situations? Why is it that this pressures me? If something feels like a pressure, or I want to go away, I want to run away from it, or I don't want to face it somehow, why is that? And you can do this at home, where there's no danger, where you are totally safe. You can ask yourself, please show me what this is about. What is this about? Maybe it's not going to turn up just like that, but maybe you will find something of significance in the life around you. I have found that newspaper headlines sometimes indicate something. I know it's about the world, but if I find that it pops up in my feed on my phone, for instance, I read just a headline to see if there's something there that can tell me something. There could be something about the people that you're normally drawn to, patterns with them, your relationships with them. This is synchronicities, right? This talks about that you can, if you allow yourself just to think a little bit, then you may figure out why it is that something is bugging you. Some of my deepest fears, it took a while. I needed to work through layers of protection to figure out what it was about. And now I'm extremely grateful I did, because otherwise the change that I have wanted, the change in my life that I was seeking, it wouldn't have been possible. These convictions, these beliefs were so deeply embedded in me, and they wouldn't have allowed for any change. This is what I talk about. And of course, you decide. It's your choice. But this is what this is going to be about. I took out this blue tablecloth today, and it's because this symbols for me like the night, right? Nighttime, and with a little bluish as color of or significant of water. It could even be like the water at nighttime, right? The more light I take away, the darker this is going to be. I can try to take down the curtain here. You see, right? It's like, how far are you prepared to go here, right? In your water. So I'm going to take, I'm going to do two piles, or two sets of cards. The one is about your ego and what the ego thinks or feels. And the other one will be about your soul and what your soul actually wants to tell you, if you allow it to speak to you. Because again, there's these two distinctions between something very mortal, like it has a deadline, the physical body, the physical brain, heart, organs, everything, it has a deadline. At some point it will not be alive anymore, but the soul is eternal, right? So it's like, if we can understand that the soul is here to have this experience. So what are you going to do about the experience, right? It's something like that. Do you want to stay in suffering all your life? It's like the soul is asking you, you're given this life, what do you want to do about it? Do you want to stay where you are? Do you want to take a chance with something or someone, even though you don't know if it's going to be safe? If you're looking for that, like, instant feeling of safety all the time, that's what you are going to be doing again and again. You will be looking, searching, but not finding. Like it, sometimes we need to take a risk with something, with the possibility of crash. But there could also be another possibility. No matter where we go, it's a learning curve. If you get rejected, if it crashes, if something is terrible, the soul would say, okay, now I know something about it. The ego will say, this is very frightening. I'm never going to do this again. Do you get my point? Like it's like the ego relates to the body. It lives in the ego can take over everything, that you will not be able to hear your soul. The free will, the ego can grow so big that you will not be able to hear the soul. This is what I believe happens if you get to the point of the extreme cases of these are psychopaths, right? Or narcissists, sociopaths. They live in like an extreme isolated element of only ego. They have no soul connection or no connection to their soul. But they also don't have remorse. They have no bad conscience, right? On the other hand, those of us who do have a soul connection, maybe just a slim one, but do have a soul connection, that means life, light and life. We are here, but we may be suffering because we don't have like a good connection. Like maybe it's distorted, or it only gives us glimpses of something from time to time, and then there are weeks where there's nothing. Where you feel like you're still doing the same old stuff, and it kind of never moves, it never takes you anywhere. The fear reduces light. Fear can dim the light to the point that it's almost, as I said, such a slim little precious part of you. So I speak to all of you out there who may feel like that, right? Or have felt like that the light is so slim. The light, we could even say, I say it's about life. It could also be the feeling of hope. That there's still a tiny, tiny bit of hope. But the life that you have lived have showed you otherwise. It has showed you not to trust. It has showed you betrayal, rejection, cheating. It has shown you pain, loss, all this stuff. So the hope becomes smaller and smaller and smaller. The smaller it becomes, the less talk you can have with your soul. The less connection. And this is where we find some of this other stuff take over. We become cynical. We become angry. We become maybe obsessive. We may become revengeful. So now you are in this other area. So I don't know where you are on the scale here, but just how willing are you to maybe look towards the hope, still work with this idea that you can trust something. Or at least I want to say, if you decide to trust in your soul, you will know it's eternal. It's not going to die. Right? It's like, or at least you could say to yourself, oh, I'm only going to suffer that long. I'm only going to suffer that long in this lifetime then. Then I'm given a new chance. But still, I want to say we are also here to release karmic build-up, right? maybe it would be a good thing to face some of this so that you're not, when you come around the next time, that you're not facing the exact same thing. Anyway, just take what resonates. This is just what I believe. I choose to believe in this. Again, it's a choice. I choose to believe that there's more, right? That there's more here for everyone. Not just for me, but for everyone here. And if there's more, I'm allowing for the hope to grow, right? To get my point of this, it's like coming back from something, maybe allowing something else to just play with the thought of this. What if this is actually only my ego? What if I'm only my ego? Am I content with that? Maybe you're content with it. Then, well, do what you want. If you're not content, if you're dissatisfied, if you are hurting, if you're sad, if you are grieving, you're clearly not happy, right? You're clearly looking for an outlet, some kind of way out. And when people are hurting, this is another thing I've come to learn, is that when people are hurting enough, they are willing to trust something. This is where people become religious. This is where people trust in self-help gurus. Anybody who would lend them a hand, anyone who can drag you out of this darkness would be a saving angel. But again, who is this, right? Who saves you, who takes you out here? Maybe you have leaned upon friends, or so-called friends, who wanted you to repay their gesture. Maybe you have leaned upon your family for a long time, with certain obligations following. Maybe you have decided to trust in a deity or God or whoever it may be, some kind of oracle, some kind of I can't tell you what's right. In my case, I haven't been able to follow these guides, some kind of external guide. I kind of needed to trust my own. I know several people in the spiritual community where I live and so on, and they all have this idea of just think in a certain way, then everything is going to be great. And it just didn't work for me, right? I had to follow something that it had to kind of become my own. So I can't tell you what is the right path for you. I have in some of my earlier videos, I talked about, I've used hypnosis, I've used subliminals, I've used binaural beats to create a bridge between my very big protective ego that I had at some point and the soul, where there was just a slim little connection, right? So to get that connection, I had to override my ego, my conscious ego that is well functioning when I'm awake, or was. I had to override it. How could I do that? I could only do that when it sleeps, when it's not not very present or active. So I use the other brain waves. I use the resting or sleeping brainwaves to access something deeper. But this was my choice. I can't say what's right for you. I did that. It was a conscious choice for me to do so. In that process, I didn't really figure out when I started that when you start doing that, something needs to change. Maybe I somehow figured that my ego would stay the same. At that point in time, I had no distinction between ego and soul. I kind of thought it was the same thing, sort of. I think I had no clear distinction between it. So I started doing some of this. I started my healing path because of the unhappiness. It drove me into something. It called me towards something that could somehow take me out of this feeling. And those I asked, like therapists, psychologists, certain healers, or it just didn't feel right for me. Like they didn't get me. They didn't get me, and it just didn't feel right. So I ended up thinking maybe I should just do this on my own, not knowing exactly what I got myself into, but I started a healing process on my own. I didn't share it with friends. I didn't share it with family. I still haven't really, not really. And it's because it's precious to me, and therefore it needs to be without interference. That's what I chose. I don't know what you will choose, but that's what I chose. And I had to figure out a way my own, right? And in that process, really learning to listen to my intuition, listen to my body. What is it that it tries to say? I thought that at that point in time, I thought that I was carrying something. I really felt that it was weighing on my shoulder. And if I could just get that off, then everything would be great again. What I didn't figure out is that I kind of opened, right? I opened to the soul. And it was now speaking louder to my ego, which didn't want to budge. It wanted to stay the same. The more healing I did, the louder this voice became. And the ego had to purge a lot of stuff. It had to purge a lot of stuff, a lot of layers of protection. So that I could actually hear my soul clearly, right? I could hear it now. I could feel it differently. I started to distinguish. I could see it's like I'm more, right? Like the person I identified with many years ago, and it was my identity for many years, is actually not me. It's actually maybe not at all me. It's a designed version of me. A survival choice. I had to become this. But actually I'm this, right? So that, I'm just telling you, it's like there is this, there's you, and then there's the ego. There's the soul, and then there's the ego. And none of them are bad. The ego exists to protect you. So there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, maybe it's not necessary to have all those boundaries up anymore. Maybe it's possible to live a more open, healthy, or happy life with less ego, right? Okay. So let's have some cards. And for this, I'm using the, if I can just get the book here. I'm using the Gilded Tarot here by Barbara Moore. If you're interested in it. And I want to say it's like the reason why I make this reading, this exact reading, is because maybe I'm giving you a choice here. I'm giving you a choice or some kind of knowledge that you have a choice, right? You have a choice, but it may not have felt like that. That's probably what I want to say. It's like you can choose differently. The only person you are destined to become is the person you decide to be. Like you can choose differently. You can choose to make a 2.0 version of yourself. You can choose to believe there's more to you and more to life. Right? You can choose to believe that the life you have now is just a roller coaster ride. It will end at some point. Right? It's not forever. As long as we stay in the ego, we are determined that we always live with this survival thing. Here I talk about surrendering something, surrendering some of the fear, surrendering or giving it up. I've heard this so many times. Just let go of your fears, they say. Just let go. Just let it go. And I just can't just let it go like that. I don't know how to let that go, right? I can tell it, I can say it, I can write it, but somehow it just doesn't go, right? I've tried to manifest some of this, but in my case, and maybe it's not the same for you, but in my case, I had to purge. It's like the ego voice, the protector here, was so strong and so afraid, so scared, full of angst for letting something go because it's precious, right? It's innate, it's precious, it's life. And when it's life, you cannot just let it go. My ego was actually protecting this. My ego was here to protect this. This is the precious, the life, the light. My ego was here to protect this, so it couldn't just leave, right? Then this would be vulnerable, then this would be exposed. Do you get my point? It's like, so in my case, there has also been a healing of this one, or a maturing of the soul orientation. The soul orientation had to become ready to come forward, because there's a sense of purity or rawness to it. It could be exploited, right? It could be used, it could be betrayed. So somehow my ego couldn't just let go like that. It had to educate. It had to give knowledge about the world you're in, right? You are in this world. I'm your guide. I'm your guard and guide. I've been protecting you. If I want to let you come forward now, you have to know this. about the world at present. You have to know what you come into here. So I've had this dialogue going on for a long time. Maybe I'm supposed to just share that with, that's also kind of a method, isn't it? Like my ego has been extremely protective of this. And that for a reason, of course. The ego was created to protect, meaning that at some point this was at risk. Therefore, the ego was created. And it created many, 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 many layers to protect this. Right? So, to understand that the ego is not an enemy, it's not a bad thing, it's a friend. But maybe a scared one. I have to talk to it. And the ego relates to the body. I've had a lot of like tremblings in my body when my nervous system was very afraid, right? And I had to calm it down, tell it it's all right. We're doing it at your pace, right? We're taking it at your pace. It's like talking to a friend, right? Well, anyway, enough of that. Let's get some cards out. But it's almost like, I don't know even if it's important what the card says. I feel like what I say is more important, actually. But anyway, your ego. Let's have a look. This is the Seven of Swords. Well, I can show you in upright if you haven't seen the cards before. There's this, yeah, maybe like that. The Seven of Swords talks about betrayal. I'm taking a little more light in here. It talks about betrayal, backstabbing, rejections, things done behind your back, cheating maybe, stealing from you. Lies, secrets, stuff like that. But it's reversed here, and I feel like it's because maybe your ego represents the idea that nothing is supposed to come and betray you. Nothing is supposed to be allowed to come in and, like, there is an ego here that says, I'm never going to be betrayed again. I'm never going to be lied to, or I'm not allowing myself to be in situations where I could potentially be betrayed, lied to, where there are secrets, where there are hidden agendas, where there is stealing, cheating, whatever this is for you. Nobody is supposed to ever also betray you, reject you, tell lies about you, gossip about you, all that kind of stuff. So the ego wants to protect you from things like that. This is an ego that says no to these things. It's like I'm not having that in my life, right? I'm trying to protect you from. That's the ego voice, right? I'm trying to protect you from this shit. So what does the soul say here? The Ace of Pentacles. Yeah, the soul says you can have a new beginning. With the protection of, with your swords raised towards something, you cannot have a new beginning. Ace of Pentacles. This talks about, the soul says that this has to do with a feeling of insecurity. I'm not feeling safe here. Ace of Pentacles would be a new beginning of something tangible, something monetary perhaps, something safe, something grounded, trustworthy. It could be the feeling that that there's lack of trust, right? That when we have our guard up, we cannot at the same time have a new beginning. Like the new beginning would come if you somehow the new beginning I get the feeling almost like there is like there's something in between this. The guard you have up here is understandable. We all somehow have this, I feel like. But it also blocks something. It blocks for a new beginning. A new, tangible, beautiful, confident, prosperous new beginning. It cannot come in as long as we have our guard up. When we have our guard up, we are also not receptive. We're kind of holding everything out there, right? How should something be able to come in if we always keep like a guard up, a wall somehow? A new beginning cannot come in if you have, we could even say the rebirth, the new start of something cannot come in as long as we have blocks towards something. At the bottom of the deck, I have the 10 of Cups in reverse. This says that 10 of Cups in reverse, very interesting that we only have reversals here. This is the underlying energy for this. So this is what is driving these, you could say, decisions or choices here. 10 of Cups in reverse is the idea that love is the fulfillment of love. The 10 of Cups would be the most overflowing feeling of love in the world, right? Unconditional, beautifully giving and taking, or giving and receiving. There's unicorns here and rainbows and gold at the end. There's abundance. There's like beautifully abundant, bright, shining, healing love here. But because there is, and maybe I should put it here, the reason is that this is kind of driving it, right? That because we don't trust that this exists somehow, right? I say that in my readings, the 10 of Cups usually also indicate like the crush feeling. But the crush feeling, actually now it makes sense for me that I see it like that, because I just had a realization. The crush feeling is actually when maybe that's what we do actually. The crush feeling of something is that this is where we tap into a higher dimension. We allow our brain to have a momentary experience of what it means to be in a position with someone where there is unconditional love. Like this is the overflowing, everything is rosy, right? Everything is golden and rosy and beautiful, and there are no regrets, no second guessing, no and the person we have in mind is beautiful, right? Everything they do is just amazing. They are amazing, they look amazing, they talk amazing, they dress amazing, they smell amazing, they whatever. We have a crush on someone. It's like we get to experience what it means to be in a higher dimension, actually, I want to say. And it has a face. We somehow know that. We know that when the crush kind of wears off, this is where the world gets back. Now it's like this wears off, and we get to see the reality, what we say, right? The reality of what it means to be on earth and have this this human experience where there is obligations and things we have to do and work and expectations and demands and all kinds of stuff. This is when we get in touch with all this stuff that is maybe also subconsciously hidden in us, that has not been processed, that has not been healed yet. We get to see what it's like to be in that dimension, and then we get back to earth. It's like we get I see it almost like the crush is like the carrot, right, in front of the donkey, right? It's like you get to see the carrot and then get back to work. Then you are taken out of the crush situation and you get back to earth, meaning that, okay, now you've seen what's out there for you. Now you get back to earth and work your way. You work through your lessons, work through your life lessons, right? Some live for this feeling, like they go out there again and again and fall in love with someone. And of course it's great, right? I don't recall what it is, but it releases some kind of chemical in the brain. And it makes us fly on this rosy cloud somehow. Rose-colored glasses, all this kind of stuff. And it feels great, it feels amazing, right? Until we are called back to earth to do the work. Then we suddenly see something, right? It's suddenly like, this person suddenly makes a decision that kind of, what? Why did you do that? I don't understand that. This is where we wake up from this rose-colored idea that, but the world is maybe not like that. But there's something, we can't stay in that feeling. It's like Earth draws us back into reality, and we are faced with what I call the brokenness of humanity, right? We are faced with all our hidden stuff, perhaps, all the secrets, all the stuff that drives us that is not processed. And this is what you have been facing. You have learned this, right? You've learned that love is not to be trusted. Like a true romantic love is not out there, perhaps. It doesn't exist in this world, or I can't trust it. You may still have the hope, right? But you can't trust it. Love is not to be trusted. Connections are not to be trusted. People are not trustworthy. That goes with the ego here choice, right? That I'm not allowing anyone to betray me here. I know that love is not trustworthy, so this is the broken hearts, right? This is where the illusion of unconditional love is suddenly broken at some point. Maybe you have experienced it many times in your life, right? And therefore you have your guard up here. Nobody is ever crossing your lines again. Nobody is ever going to deceive you, or that could be, that's the cynical choice, right? To stay safe somehow. To stay safe, I keep myself out of this trouble, because in my experience, my ego, human experience, these don't go together, right? Or yeah, they go together. These persuasions go together, but they are not very open. They are not very receptive. They are not trusting. They are the opposite. They are distrusting, not believing that it's possible to find someone who is like real, right? And therefore there is new beginning. There is no beginning. The Ace of Pentacles in reverse, it says there is no new beginning. This cannot happen as long as this exists. I feel like I want to put it here, because it is underlined. So it kind of, as long as this exists, is in your subconscious maybe, it's driving this, and it's not creating a new beginning for the soul to enter or to have more say in a matter. Let's have the Akash here. Let's have a see. So this is the Akashic Tarot by Sharon Ann Klinkler and Sandra Ann Taylor. So let's have a little bit about the Akash here. So the Akash about the ego. Again, the ego, you can be here. Maybe you have been here many times before. So your Akash is carrying something, a karmic lesson that needs to be released. Your ego is also carrying something here. We'll see whether it has to do with the potential of the soul, or you would say the future of the soul, the potential of it. If we could somehow reverse this and have it have a beginning, so you can hear it more clearly, so that you can interact with it, what would it then say, right? What would it say then? What kind of potential does it has, this soul, if you allow it to come forward? The soul sometimes represents our shadow. Means that this can be an indicator of the people that we are normally drawn to. Something we hide within ourselves, or we repress within ourselves, because there's a danger related to it. But we are drawn to people who have it, right? So there could be something about over here, the shadow, which I sometimes see as our soul connection, the dimmed soul connection, is having, it has some kind of potential, but it may be it could be a vulnerable thing to share it, or to open up and just allow others to see it, right? That there is a danger to it, perhaps. But we are normally drawn to people who have it. So there is something about understanding, like some deeper psychological aspects of ourselves. So for the ego, the scribe. I see this as evidence, like there are many stories told here, many things written down, you could say in your conscious and also subconscious mind, you have much evidence of this, like that you can trust in connections and true, beautiful 5D connection on earth, you can trust it. The Akash talks about, I see this as many, even I see it almost like many stories that tell you the same thing. I even see it as, because they are thrown to the ground here, that maybe you have tried to rewrite this in different lifetimes again and again. That you have come to a certain point and you wanted to rewrite the story again and again. But like there are many tries here. We see that there's even an assisting group here trying to figure something out, also writing here. I feel like this is evidence. It's like many tries, like trying to do something different many times. Maybe you have been here many lifetimes and you have tried to rewrite something many times. Upright, it means the learned scribe writes at a high desk. Nearby are a number of other working scribes. In some ancient societies, scribes were simply copiers of holy texts. But in many, they were the most learned men of their time. People well versed in law, scripture, philosophy, history, and more. The card indicates a great upsweep in mind and study for you. If there is any object with which you'd like to acquaint or reacquaint yourself, do so. It's not just for the sake of study, although that's always a good thing. This period of higher mind and higher learning is nothing less than a change your life forever, change the world opportunity. Just as the Wright brothers began by studying the flight patterns of birds, you can rise up on the wings of discovery now. There may be a teacher or even an entire school that can help you with this upliftment. Be sure to seek out the right person or place of learning. You could also become a writer or teacher yourself at this time, elevating and contributing to others. If you are involved in any legal matter, there is a person who can help you with this. Let your great vision guide you to him or her. This could also be a time when you might find yourself writing proposals, grants, essays, blogs, articles, or books. Note what compels you and be sure to answer the call. So that's interesting, right? It could be a time where you learn something new, that something new is coming in. And this is interesting because it's on the ego side here. So you have, underneath everything, there's a feeling that love cannot be trusted. It's a general reading. It may not be for all of you, but there could be a reason why this exists. We still have the hope, right? The hope is an ego consciousness. We don't want to let it go. It's still present somehow. We don't want to give up the hope, but that's an ego conscious choice. It doesn't mean that your feelings deep down actually supports this. there could be a lot of fear regarding this. So you have a defense mechanism up here. Nobody is supposed ever to cross lines with you again, ever lie to you, ever hurt you, ever betray you. It's easier not to, right? It's easier not to let anyone come near you, then it will not happen. Okay, but then you can't have a new beginning, I want to say, in love. That's what the soul responds here to you. So I can't have a new beginning, the soul would say. You're not allowing me, us, to have a new beginning. And it says, yeah, but there are many evidence of this. Okay, I'm telling you that if you want a new beginning, you need to start doing some of this. Dive into philosophy, dive into maybe poet writing, educate yourself on the matter of fears, perhaps, psychology. Maybe you need to dive into something like that. Maybe you need to go into therapy. Maybe you need to write down your fears. Like just let it out somehow. That could be a way of releasing it. Even doing a fire ceremony with all of your fears, perhaps. All the stuff that you hold in, like regrets, anger that is related to other people or how they have hurt you, maybe. Just write it down. Let it out of your body, right? You may have several scrolls here or several scribes, documents. And then instead of holding on to it, hiding, keeping it in your house, I would burn it, right? In a fire ceremony, releasing it. Cutting the cord or whatever, pulling cords with other people. I would do that. Look up fire ceremony on YouTube. There are several shamans that do this. I like, he's called Alberto something. The one I have kind of used or where I have felt right to me to use that. Go with what the instinct tells you, what feels right to you. Maybe you choose to take it to the water or you choose to burn it and you, like ashes, you throw it over the ocean, right? That could be your way of releasing. You are a deep water sign. Maybe that makes sense to you. Maybe you have a special place of water, a sea or something that you would feel this is the right place for me to release some of this. Maybe you become somewhat of a philosopher yourself, right? In your search for something or in your learning curve here, maybe for you, Scorpio. It definitely feels like like something is coming in as a change. The Akash is here, right? This is the book of record. The Akash tells us the story about the book of record of our lives. I saw this as like you're taking note, right? You're taking note. The ego here is here to help you take note about something, right? You're taking note about. And there's a lot of evidence, I feel like. You have gathered a lot of evidence that tells you the same story, that you cannot rely on something here. You cannot, that it tells you the same story. Maybe you have even friends who say the same, right? So you could be a group of people or a family that tells the same story, right? You talk the same, you speak, you feel, you think the same story here. You have gathered the same kind of evidence. But I'm also telling you, as long as you stay in a certain belief system, this is what you're going to attract. Right? If you believe that I can't trust love, I'm protecting myself. If you actually meet another person, they are going at some point in time to prove that to you. Even if it looks great, you start out great, you have a relationship, they are going to prove that to you. Eventually. Because that's what you are attracting. You are attracting the proof. You are attracting the proof again and again and again and again. So that makes it difficult for you to get out of this protective mode and into a more trusting mode, right? As long as you gather the same evidence, proof, how should you ever be able to get out? You can only get out of this when you recognize that this is your ego. That this is your ego. And the ego only wants to protect you, right? So when it gets another evidence, it builds up another wall. An even thicker wall. It says, I told you so, right? Here is the evidence, it says. Okay, let's have a look over here. But maybe if you allow for something else to happen, right? If you allow yourself to maybe educate yourself a little bit about law of attraction, right? Something like that. What we send out is going to be mirrored back to us. It's going to come back. You are attracting, the stuff you send out, you are attracting the right polarity to this. Even if it looks good on the surface, you will eventually get another proof, I feel like. You're gathering proof, you have been gathering proof, you have a lot of them. Maybe you even have an entire friend group that says the same. Maybe you have lifetimes of this. Karmic stuff. But I want to say the book kind of indicates you could educate yourself here. Learn more here about the deep unconscious fears. Okay, let's have a look over here. Caught in the ruins. Yeah, it's like the soul is imprisoned. It can't have a new beginning. It is in a prison. First of all, the soul is now in a body. That it in itself may feel like a prison, like it has limitations. There are only a certain size to the body and so on. And we see it's like, it feels like a prison sitting here, caught in the ruins. Limitation, right? Limitation here. Like your soul cannot have a new beginning as long as it's caught in limitation, or it's limited by your fears. It's like it can't breathe. But again, it could be because it's linked, right? There could be karmic stuff going on here that needs to be released here. That needs to be released over here for something to open the gate here. It's very clear, actually. Caught in the ruins. And again, Caught meaning that you are not free, right? You sit here, you are limited. And in the ruins, ruins is something that it has broken down, right? It's leftovers. It's a ruin is also not a safe castle anymore, right? It has been bombarded. It's possible to get in somehow. And if you sit here, you become even more vulnerable, right? You are a victim caught in a prison of a unprotected and unsafe castle. Here we talk about the life, the hope, the life, the precious, sitting here, having no possibility of getting out, new beginning, nothing here. As long as you are keeping, like repeating the story here of something. Okay, let's have a look here. If I can find it. So, Caught in the Ruins says, in the ruins of a medieval castle, there is an old prison. The bars are still intact, but there is no roof over the room, and wine grows over the stones. A man and woman are inside, seated on old stools. A beautiful green forest grows to the left, while the castle ruins extend to the right. This card shows a dark and difficult situation that seems to have you trapped. It could be a hurtful, empty relationship, an unhappy or stultifying job, a behavioral or actual addiction, or even a negative, sabotaging belief system. It has held you captive for some time and may have even begun in some past life. But there is a way out, as there always has been. It just takes some effort and determination in your heart and on your part. Even if these limiting situations and actions are strong, they are self-imposed. The courage and strength required to change lies within you. You must change each faulty belief and every sabotaging choice as they happen. If you do nothing, you perpetuate your attachment to this dark situation. Like the crumbling castle, negative choices could stand for a long time to come. Don't let the ruins of your past ruin your future. You have the power to climb out now. Yeah, you do have that power if you change something here, right? You must change each faulty belief and every sabotaging choice as they happen. If you do nothing, you will perpetuate your attachment to this dark situation. You can't have the new beginning that you may so yearn for or long for if you're not willing to change anything. We say in tarot that the tower needs to fall for something new to be rebuilt, right? On a better grounding position, perhaps. We say that death needs to come before a rebirth. The death of something, ego, in this case, I feel like, is important for something new to happen, for something to change about the situation here, right? Let's have a look at the bottom of the deck here. I get the 5 of Keys, wishes fulfilled. wishes fulfilled. I'm kind of just feeling into that one because it feels quite abundant. It's underlying energy, so it's driving whatever may be happening in your life at this point in time. It's like you may have wishes that you would like to be fulfilled, right? Dreams you would like to be fulfilled. So and we see how abundant this is, how beautiful it is. A lot of food and a lot of wine and beautiful scenery. Such a cozy, nice cottage in the mountains with like the most beautiful view and fresh air and fresh fruit and everything. It's quite and there are keys here on the table as well that kind of could open up doors for something. You would want something to open up doors for you. You would like something to happen. Of course you would like the doors to be open if you feel something has been very limited here. Of course you would like a new beginning. That's what drives this. This is maybe an urge for a new beginning, something where your wishes could be actually fulfilled here, where you could feel connected and abundant and loved and where there's beauty, where there's goodness and clarity and clear communication, where you are safe, right? Where there's abundance, you're always protected, you're always safe. That's what drives this. It drives you into, or drove you, or is driving you into maybe changing something here. Like maybe it drives you into looking at some of your evidence here. And there may be evidence. I'm not trying to demean your experiences. Not at all. I have had my own, right? So not at all. I'm just saying that could be another way of looking at this. What if there's more than this? What if there's more, right? What if you knew about the law of attraction, if you knew about certain universal laws, what if you knew something else? What if you had an opportunity to rewrite your story? What if you could rewrite your story? Maybe you should start rewriting your story, right? Who you are. If your wishes were fulfilled here, what kind of person would you be? How would you feel? Where would you live? What would be present, right? What would be present if you could rewrite your story entirely? What kind of person would you be? How would you feel? What would you care about? What would your job look like? What would your most... this is like dreaming out loud, right? Like really writing it down and have this feeling of maybe like hope and peace and maybe even like joy or in your heart while you're writing this, right? While you're writing this, like try to connect with the most beautiful way of you here. When you do that, you allow yourself to actually believe you are more, that there's more to your life than just the evidence you have collected that keeps you trapped, right? in a dark understanding of something. What if there's more? You could rewrite your story. What if you could rewrite it? Like literally you take a book and you write down everything that, and do it in first tense. Like you write it like, I am so happy in my life. I have the most beautiful cottage in the mountain or by the sea or whatever. I am successful in my job. I feel so happy every time I get out of bed in the morning. I am joyous. I'm happy. I love life, right? I love my life. I love everything about it. I love the trials also. I realize why they're here now. I appreciate them. I'm grateful. I'm so grateful to have the most beautiful friends in my life. You know, like having this exhilarated, very beautiful feeling when you write this down, because it's going to help you open the doors to something here. And this is and it says 5 of keys. So keys is something that can open a door, right? It can open something. Let me just find it in the book for you here. So, the 5 of keys. The scene is a bright and full storeroom, a larder for a sizable and successful estate. Inside are keys and coins, wine and spices. Also within the room are a number of baskets filled with a bounty of fruit, vegetable, bread, flowers, sugars, and grain. Even the many windows look out at the expanse of your world. This card is a sign that the time has come for your wishes to be fulfilled and your dreams to be realized. Difficulties may have challenged you for a time, but even in these, victory is assured. There is an abundance of sweet nourishment and acquired lands coming. The keys to the castle are yours, and celebrate, right? Close your eyes and feel someone hand you a set of golden keys. One of them opens the most important door before you. Open the door and see what lies ahead. So that's what I feel like. Dream big dreams here. Dream this, right? Write it down. Keep manifesting it. If you feel like the door is still closed somehow, or you feel you can't connect with your soul somehow. So you see, as from coming from a point of this, it feels like you could be in a change at the moment, Scorpio, that is wanting you to have fulfillment in life, right? It wants you to connect with something that is much bigger, that the opportunity is here somehow to do that. That's a big step, right? To coming from mistrust and not believing in something good and unconditional and beautiful and everything, to like seemingly having it all. Like the potential is here if you believe in it, right? So let's have a little bit from the soul here. Now I take these cards here. They are called Through the Eyes of the Soul by Cheryl Yambrack Rose. So let's just have a look at this. And let's have a look at this. I would like a card, please, through the eyes of the soul, that if your soul could tell you in your ego form here something, what would the soul tell you? And on the other side, who is your soul here, right? Who is your soul? What is it that they are bringing? What is part of its nature? Or yeah, let's have a look of what it wants to say here. So if the soul could speak directly to your ego here and tell you something, what would it be? And then over here, if you actually are able to open the doors here and get it out, what kind of soul is it? What does it bring with it? Because when we get closer to something like this, it's like a lightning path of life mission, or something could be illuminated. It could become more clear what part of soul you are, in the sense that, let's say you had a job as a shop owner, or you had a job as a carpenter or something. You had a job as a nurse. And maybe it's part of you, but there could be more, right? There could be something more that, again, I get to feel something like there's more. Maybe you need to be like the head of something, the head of a department, right? That you have actually more to offer. You're not just the shop owner. Maybe you could have a much bigger firm, right? Maybe you have leader skills that are bigger. Maybe you have healing powers that are bigger than that you are able to give in a nursing job. Maybe you can heal something totally different. Maybe you have shamanic abilities, right? There is something here. Because you connect to the deeply innate, the deeply precious. So you are a keeper, I feel like, of the deeply, like what this could be like, right? That's what you are keeping. You're the keeper of this, and letting it out somehow comes with maybe a sense of fear. Because there's something at stake, right? It's life, it's hope, it's what we need on earth at this lifetime. We cannot be without it, right? It's something that must never die. It must never leave earth, right? It must never be taken. It must never be abused or something. It's like it's that crucial. It's that crucial, and therefore it needs protection until it can stand on its own 2 feet, right? Until it's prepared, until it knows what it gets itself into, right? Until it's ready. And even also until world is ready to not kill it, right? Or to not harm it somehow. So there needs to be a sense of safety to open the doors here. But I want to say, when I look at this card here, it is reversed in your reading, but look at it. Try to look at the magnificence of this. Like, first of all, the stallion here is the masculine leader of the pack, right? And then he holds such a big pentacle here. I see this sometimes as the solar, like the solar circle you have on top of the Egyptian gods. It means that they are connected to the spirit realm, but look at how big it is, right? So I feel like there's enormous potential here with the soul here, like a peacekeeper somehow. It's an earthy element here. So it has to do with security, safety, money. It has to do with maybe your own leadership of your own pack or yourself, like standing firmly on the ground. Nothing can pull you over, right? And that's what I feel like. It has not been opened up. You haven't been able to connect with this part of yourself, to stand firm no matter what. Nobody can kick you over here. Strong masculine energy here. This is a powerful mentor and leader, but not in like a. It's not with revenge or power or force or anything. It's a. This is not a predator, right? This one. It's not a predator. It's a leader, right? He's not here to hurt you, right? He's not here to hurt you, but here to guide you, right? This is a leader that wants to see the best in his employees, that wants them to thrive, right? It's not a predator, this one. Okay, let's have a look. Soul messages here, please, for the ego that is developing and that is trying to figure out maybe how to open the door here or to use the keys that are available. So again, from maybe collecting evidence of the bad, you may be rewriting your story here. Or at least I feel like that's the advice, at least, that's what you need to do to have a connection with your soul here. Because this is now limited in the ruins, right? Okay, so let's have a look here. And sometimes we need to do this even if we get the advice not to, right? Even if people are trying to keep us set in a certain way. So be wary or be mindful about your friend group or your family, the style of communication and thought patterns, right? Use a time to rewrite your story, rethink yourself as someone else. If pain and loss and everything wasn't here, right? How would it be to be you? What kind of person would you be? What would you do? Where wouldn't you feel limited somehow, right? Where, if life limits you now, and you could take that away, how would you do? How would it change your life? What would you do then? What would you not be afraid of? What would you not like put you down somehow? What would you, if all this stuff wasn't there, all the demands maybe of life in general and people around us that may want us to stay in the status quo, that wants us to keep us the same way. If we could take all that away, just like imagine it didn't exist. How would that change your life? What decisions would you make, right? If someone is if you have people in your life that demeanor you, or that keep you down, or that try to hold you back, or that are not truthful, somehow, that speak down to you, or this can even be an inner voice, right? As it was in my case, I had outer and inner voice. So I've had like family stuff, projections towards me, but I also had an inner self-sabotaging voice that I needed to address, right? And I did that by using hypnosis, subliminals, binaural beats, and that created a change for me. I don't know if it would change you or change anything for you, but if you feel like you have been in a stuck situation, maybe you could try it. It's not a quick fix. It takes time, right? And we were told that this was a dark, difficult situation, so you have to allow your ego to adjust. You have to allow your soul to adjust also to the fact that it could actually get out. It could actually have a way out. So it has to be prepared to get out now, right? If you release a soul that has been imprisoned for many, many years, what would it do? Right? If you imagine someone sitting in prison for 50 years, what would they do if they come out? There could be two things. Either they would go crazy, right? They would be wild. They would do everything they haven't done in those 50 years. Or actually they would be scared because they have adjusted to the life within the box. So getting out comes with maybe a sense of fear also. So there can be different things you need to address. So just take this how it resonates for you, right? But be mindful about people that are dictating you, and even if they say they have your best interests at heart, if you don't feel that is correct, trust that instinct, right? Trust it. If people around you are not caring, they don't listen, they override what you say, they speak when you speak, they don't respect you, there's no peace or harmony around them. If they are drama queens, if they create disharmony in your life, it can be, of course, because you have to realize something. The ego has to realize that there's something that is up, that is due to be released, perhaps. But also be mindful, is this what you want? Is that what you want in your life? If not, rewrite it. Like, maybe you need to get people out of your life, or you need to distance yourself from them. Maybe you need I want to say, maybe you need to become religious. Maybe you need to, or you choose to, not need to, but you choose to, perhaps. You choose, because the pressure is now too big, you choose to like ask for a helping hand somewhere. So you decide to become, to read, educate yourself. You decide to seek out therapists, healers, shamans. Maybe you listen to this, right? You choose to invite a sense of energy to work with you, like a strong feminine or masculine in this case, perhaps energy. You need a strong but good-hearted, benevolent, masculine energy, like Jesus. Maybe you decide to work with him. You decide to work with the Buddha, the Krishna. Maybe you decide to devote yourself into like yoga and yogic you could say, practice, daily practice of something, daily practice of meditation or something here. And that is probably going to create a change for you. Okay, so let's have a look what the eyes of the soul has to say here. To your ego, right? So I get, keep the virgil, justice will triumph. Keep the virgil, justice will triumph. Interesting. So here I have, just show you the card here. Keep the virgil, justice will triumph. As long as you keep, again, we have the cup out here, up here. As long as you keep it safe, I feel like, and I also get the feeling like trust in, he's holding this cross with the flower, right? Trust in the path, trust in what you're doing. Keep your eye on the prize, I want to say. Keep your eye on the prize, what it is that you want to manifest here. Keep your eye on that. Justice will triumph. Balance will come. We could even say this may have to do with another person, perhaps, if you feel like there has been injustice somehow. Maybe there is something coming. As long as you keep your eye on your prize, whatever justice or karmic lesson or Akashic record they create for them is their problem, right? Virgil by the holy thorn tree. Disruption. Remember to have compassion and sincerity throughout difficult proceedings. Seek legal counsel if necessary. Know in your heart that God shall prevail upon the earth. Whether an inner battle or an outer one, physics shows up that the universe is also always striving to return to a natural state of balance. The holy thorn tree on Waveriall Hill in Glastonbury was a place where ancient knights performed their virgil before going into battle. It also stands as a symbol of the safe return from an arduous quest. The tree was recently vandalized and cut. This is tragic, yes, but it reminds us that the magic of Avalon, as with love, dwells in our hearts and cannot be destroyed by vandals or by any ruinous act of another. If we allow others to have that power, their intentions will be fulfilled. When you are weary from involvement in the problems of the world, remember to keep the virtue of your heart, resting upon the nexus point of the knight's sword is the blue rose of immortality. The tree will rejuvenate itself and grow once again. You see, immortality, it's like the even everything you feel that is unsafe or unjust or whatever it is around you, it will balance itself out at some point. It will regain the strength. It will overcome something. And if you understand that you are immortal, that your soul inside you cannot be killed, it can release like a feeling, right? It can release a feeling or give you a feeling of that nothing can really hurt you. Nothing can hurt you. Nothing has that power. As long as you trust that, as long as you keep it in your understanding, it will help you overcome whatever it needs to be overcome. And maybe it also drives you in the presence of something more on the mountain. Maybe you become the hermit that looks for answers. Maybe this has to do with love from above. It has to do with the love of God, right? That you trust in a divine light, that you are anchored in divinity, instead of anchored in like the earthly suffering, you could say, right? There's more to life. If you keep this as a guiding light for you, justice will prevail, you could say. Justice will triumph. It will come. The light will come. It's here. You can even say that out loud. It's already here, right? That's also a way of like coming closer to manifest the happiness in life. The happiness doesn't necessarily come with that the people that may have hurt you need to suffer. That would just be you repeating a story, right? It means for you to get yourself out of those stories and get into a new life. Whatever happens with them, it's up to them, right? They have their own karmic lesson, their own things to overcome. You decide what's good for you, right? You decide what's good for you and keep that sacred at any times, right? That should be, that is what the soul wants to tell you. If you can do that, you will more easily and maybe faster also be able to manifest the things that you truly want in life, which would be abundance, freedom, open doors, open windows, fresh air, fresh climate, a lot of food in all kinds of diversities here. Always enough here of everything, right? As long as you stick to that, no matter what life tells you, no matter what life tells you, you will eventually manifest a different life for yourself. If we hold on to hatred and despair and suffering, we will have more of it. If we allow ourselves to believe in something else, we can actually start attracting some of that. It could be starting out as different thoughts. Maybe suddenly you may have a glimpse of it. You may have a day where you have hours where you actually feel lifted up, you feel more happy, you feel free. And then you return to a certain point, maybe into like the practical life again. And you may feel like, oh, now I'm back in the normal way of life. It's a process that takes time. It's a preparation again. It's a preparation time. At least it could be. On the other side here, we have let peace prevail. Let peace prevail. So very interestingly, we have again, I get the feeling of a peacekeeper here. Let peace prevail. I don't get a fighter, a warrior, like a predator with this energy. And at the bottom of the deck, I get this one. It says, weave your destiny. So weave what it is that you would like to create in your life, right? If you deep down truly in your life or in your body wants peace, I believe most of us actually do want that, because we need the peace to love, right? We need the harmony to be there. We need the safety to be there. If we become, if we waive that kind of destiny for ourselves, that we waive a destiny of keeping the most sacred, or keeping our eyes on the prize. That's actually also what I see here. It's like he keeps his eyes towards something, thinking about something here that is the most precious. Keep your eye on the prize, right? Keep the virtue, or what you want to call it. Keep that safe. Trust in it, and justice will return. It will triumph. It will come back. Light will prevail. And here I have let peace prevail, right? I actually get that also. I said that already, wasn't it? Didn't I? Something about this is not a predator. The stallion here is not a predator. He's actually a vegetarian, right? He doesn't eat meat. He is a very he can go into fight if he feels like his status is somehow like threatened. We can see him a little bit like an emperor, right? He wants to defend his territory, defend his family, the herd. He wants it to be safe. But in order to do so, he also has something that is driving him, some kind of belief here. And it's very big, right? Somehow I get the feeling that your soul actually is a peace. It wants peace. Let peace prevail. Peace as opposed to drama, right? Peace as opposed to drama is also going to open the doors here, I feel like. Let's have a look in the book. He comes across as a temple knight, right? So he is on some kind of mission here. Your soul actually has a mission here of being a peacekeeper. It could be like that. Or a balancer of peace, perhaps. So it says here, love conquers death. Slay your demons and bury the sword. Unlock the vaults. Unlock the vaults of your heart. Weary of conflict, the Templar Knight kneels over the vaults of Russian chapel. In the background, light is visible through the window. It illuminates the stairways to the vaults as if we are waiting for someone to enter. On the knight's shield is the moss-covered heartstone ensconced in the river Esk below the Roslin Glen. The sky with the twilight glow of a Midlothian sunset signifies the urgency of acting before the night is engulfed in darkness. 2 keys of wisdom hang from his belt. The hero's journey is about cycles of death and rebirth. Denying the spiritual only leads to the illusionary life, while the transitionary satisfaction of winning usually leads to conflict. Bury the sword of external power and seek the hidden treasures within. Yeah, there's a sense that conflict, drama, and upholding them is a very, it tears or it lowers our batteries, right? We get exhausted of it. It's not worth it to uphold those battles in our lives, and it's also not giving you the opportunity to have the wish fulfillment that you actually may need. In this situation, we may even say maybe we need to forgive someone, right? Maybe we need to at least all forgive ourselves for holding on to the drama, for holding to give that. That's to trap our soul, right? To trap our soul because we have held on to stuff that is actually not very healthy for us. It could be that we may need to forgive ourselves for entrapping ourselves, right? For not living in peace and because the peace is what allows us to rest properly. It allows us to gather strength. It allows us to think more clear thoughts. It's like a poisonous brain may have taken over at some point. The thoughts we may have had could have been very destructive, right, and toxic, and it's like it's time to give that up somehow. Let the drama be of the world, perhaps, right? Let the drama be of your friends. Let the drama be of your you could say in workplace. Let the drama be of the world. Maybe you decide not to listen to news anymore. Maybe you decide not to be drawn into other people's conflicts. As long as you keep your light, as long as you keep your heart here in a place of love, as long as you stay here, it will triumph. It will not be fast maybe, but it will triumph. That's what the soul wants to tell you. Keep your eye on the prize here. What it is you want to manifest, right? What it is you want to manifest. That's what I feel like is here for you at this point in time. It may need to require something for you. I'm taking one card from my Isis Oracle deck by Alana Fairchild. And the reason for that is that she is a powerful feminine, you could say warrior actually, but she is only a warrior if she needs to be, right? She's also called the Queen of Fire, means that she brings some kind of confidence. And maybe you need confidence to stand in the midst of some kind of trial or some kind of difficult situation. You need to rely on you in some sense. No matter what other people say, no matter how loud they become maybe, or no matter how they try to induce certain projections upon you or whatever it may be, you still keep to you, right? You keep yourself firmly grounded, and that may require some skill, right? It may require some kind of confidence to have your eye on the prize, right? Who you are, no matter how people are treating you, what they are saying, what they are dictating you, what they are trying to convince you of, what the media is trying to convince you of. It's not really up to them to get to the precious of you, right? That keep that in mind, that you carry something vital, something very important that is not supposed to be tipped over. It's not supposed to be ever drained or give in to any kind of pressure. So let's have a look. I have the Divine Guardian, protection of the winged mother. So here we have her, Divine Guardian. So let's have a look. I feel like this talks about your protection. You're protected in whatever whatever mission or whatever choice you make, you are protected. She's here to tell you you are safe, that nothing is supposed to come here and tip you over or change you, or a guardian is a protector, right? So she is definitely here to protect you. I don't know if you can hear it, but I have a very loud neighbor at the moment. And it could be an indicator that you feel that there are voices or something that wants to direct you in a certain direction, but it's actually not where you want to go, right? And I'm just kind to stand my ground here for that, and that's really buying into it. But that could be what it is. It could even be an inner voice that directs you, a critical inner voice that directs you, that you have to overcome, right? It wants to persuade you in some sense to do certain things, because that's what we have been programmed to do, and because we believe that we are only our ego. But there's more to life. No matter how loud that voice becomes, if you keep to your price here, you keep a focus on something. It's like managing your thoughts and your emotions here. Become very aware of this. So this says protection of the winged mother. You are venturing through a time of significant spiritual growth and healing. There are many changes occurring internally, and they will be reflected in your external world soon also. You are protected during these times by the love and strength of the winged mother, Lady Isis. You can relax and allow your transformation to happen. Let your divine guardian protect you now as you lean to let go and trust in your own unfoldment of the greatest the greatest good. Big spiritual growth can bring difficult challenges. Through such challenges, the initiate can gain wisdom, power, and awareness, and leave behind fears that once held them captive. Free from past restrictions, free to live a life that is truly extraordinary and inspirational. Yet the challenges can feel deeply confronting. The initiate may be tested to stay true to their own beliefs, even if their loved ones do not understand or support them. Or they may be required to let go of what they have known to embrace something completely unfamiliar. And this may be uncomfortable for them, and they may fear losing love, support, safety, or friendship as they venture into a new life. These kinds of spiritual growth opportunities are presented when the initiate is ready for them, even though this readiness might not seem obvious. The oracle of the divine guardian arises because you, dear initiate of the light, are venturing into a significant time on your spiritual path. There is a process cooking within you, and which may already be mirrored in your outer life circumstances that are actually challenging you to grow. It might look like an opportunity, or it might appear as a crisis, but no matter what the appearance, you are being guided to take the risks that intuitively feels right for you, and have faith. You will be safely guided by the unconditional love of the Lady Isis, with wings outstretched and swords of truth in hand, protected from false images that would lead you astray from your true path. This oracle is also confirmation you have been receiving impressions and inner nudges that are from your highest guidance, which has been helping you with situations that are currently unfolding in your life and will continue to do so. You are spiritually speaking on the right track. No matter whether your life circumstances appear to be heading in one direction at one moment and then in a completely different direction the next moment, or whether you feel things are a certain way in truth about, or whether you feel things are a certain way in truth only to find that the next day they seem to be different. These are all just signs of growth into a new consciousness. Life does not have to be fixed or even clear at all times in order for you to be safe. Isis is with you. All is well. This oracle comes as guidance that you have been worried about another, that they are protected. Whether this is someone alive at this time or a being that has departed the physical world and returned to spirit, they are free from suffering, pain and trauma now, and all is well. If you wish to send blessings to such a beloved, you can do so with the incarnation below. And the incarnation, let's see. The incarnation is Winged Mother, Guardian of Light. Surround me with your protective might. Only love and light enter this field, or the cherub sword you shall yield, driving away darkness with endless light, bringing peace to every day and to every night. That's the one. You can use this incarnation as a prayer of protection at any time, on your behalf or on behalf of another. You can choose to touch your heart and say the name of the person that you are saying the prayer for before speaking it aloud 3 times at least, and then say, "So be it," and intend that the prayer be sent to the beloved. Let any thought of the beloved go there. Let the prayer be free, and do not worry about how it works. Just let it do its work, as you have done yours. There are powers in the innate. You will learn to trust this more and more. I will repeat the incantation. The incantation if you want to write it down, or just, yeah. Winged Mother, Guardian of Light, surround me with your protective might. Only love and light enter this field, or the scarab sword you shall yield, driving away darkness with endless light, bringing peace to every day and to every night. Yeah. The healing and protection of the Winged Mother. I feel like I wanna read this as well for you. Rest quietly in a space where you will not be disturbed and close your eyes. Follow the breath into your heart space and imagine that within you there is a sea of golden light flowing. As a wave within this ocean and light arises, you notice a beautiful golden winged goddess rising up powerfully from the ocean, her wings guiding her above the ocean, and you see Lady Isis above you. She wraps her wings around you and you feel safe, secure, loved and protected. Her wings naturally open and close around you with her breathing. Feel the connection between you and know that all is well. She then holds above you a sword aloft, emblazoned with golden scarab beetles, with precious colored gems as wings. From this sword, great light is emitted, and you feel the light forming a sphere of protection. It it descends around you as a golden egg of energy, sealing your entire energy body with the love, light, and the power of beloved Mother Isis. You are under her divine guidance now. When you feel calm, just open your eyes. You may like to finish with the incantation. Yeah, so if this somehow may help you, this is Isis, but maybe there is something else that you may feel inclined to think of. Whatever it may be, it's the same thing, right? It talks about keeping something very precious and keep your eye on the prize. Not let nothing touch this. Let nothing. It's even just around his heart area. Make sure that it's protected. Keep this safe. Let nobody ever touch this. Like your identity, the true version of you, the innate you, something like that. The ruby inside you, your inner diamond, something like that. Something that feels and seems very precious to you. That let nothing ever, no matter how loud it becomes, no matter how frustrating it becomes, keep your eye on the prize here. You may be dealing with a difficult situation. I still have this very loud neighbor really yelling. That's quite annoying. And actually, it doesn't feel very nice, right? I'm going to stop the video now and send some healing light to my neighbor and the ones involved. And maybe that's what you need to do as well, that there are people that live from the ego, right? They are so afraid of losing the power they may have. They are so afraid that people may see them in a different light. They are so afraid that they are not in control of something. So they will use whatever means to get to that goal. And if that means screaming or hurting someone, being violent or physical, that's what they do. And they live from the ego, right? They can't give up that ego. And maybe we need to just like release ourselves from some situations like that, like get away from it. We can send them just healing, and eventually maybe they will listen. Eventually maybe they will change their mind. And if not, that's their karma, right? It has really nothing to do with you. They may project it upon you for you to learn to not like deal with it somehow, right? So let the peace prevail. I feel like you need to rest. Let the drama go. Even an inner voice drama, maybe you need to let go of. An inner critical voice, maybe. Maybe it's outside of you, maybe it's external. You take that how it resonates. But as long as you keep yourself linked to some of this, you keep yourself limited. You can't become the peacemaker. You can't live the life that you truly actually may be desiring. And you can never also let your guard down. You cannot relax, right? But if you trust that you are protected here, you can. And if you take yourself away from situations that are very dramatic and very like abusive, maybe even, or very tough on your nervous system or on your feelings, really decide if that's what you truly want. Is that really what you want? Like, or is there something else deeply inside you that you're actually yearning for that is something different? That's what I feel like I have for you, Scorpio. I hope this helped you somehow at this time. Take very good care of yourself out there. You are truly amazing, and you're balancing some very difficult energies. You are the weaver of your destiny, right? The only person you're destined to become is the one you decide to be, right? You weave it. You can rewrite your story. You can write all the trouble, the suffering, and all this stuff out of your life. You can walk away from it, simply. And you can choose to turn around and walk the other way, right? Literally, and leave the past be where it is, and let those people deal with whatever they are in. They may still be writing the same story, but that's their karma, right? That's the best advice I have for you. Take very good care of yourself out there, Scorpio. I love you. Love and light to you.